Everyone, are you ready to listen? Okay. So our presentation is about the research in adapting communicative approach to EFL context.
And please introduce yourselves.
Yes, of course. So we will introduce ourselves one by one, and with the nationality and teaching settings, but I'd like to omit the age because we will introduce where we are from. And
that's a wise decision, I think.
Yeah, because where we are from and the teaching settings has a very close relationship to our topic. Maybe the age has something to do with it as well, but I rather would like to omit it. And so I am Atsuko Hanasaki from Japan, and I teach English in public high schools.
Hi everyone, my name is Nora Shikino Amri. I'm from Malaysia, where English is regarded as a second language, and I teach I've been teaching in a Chinese primary school for 5 years before I came here.
Hi, I'm Chihiro Utsuno from Japan. I've been teaching English to high school students for 6 years.
Good morning, my name is Adria. I'm from Mexico, and I have been teaching French in Mexico for 16 years. But now, because of the reforms in the educational system, French and other languages are disappearing from the system, from the curriculum, and then I'm preparing for teaching English. I have been teaching English only for 1 year before coming to Australia. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jimiran. I'm from Korea. Actually, I'm teaching Japanese for 4 years in Korea, and this is my new challenge. So I had the experience to teaching English just 1 year before coming to Australia. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I will, and we're going to discuss. Yes, first, why we choose the issue as an introduction, and then the history, and then the definition, and the research method, and then conclusion. So let me discuss why we chose this topic. So first, all of us were interested in implementing some methodology to a certain social context. But, so we gradually found that we are interested mostly in communicative language teaching, because it has been a dominant way of teaching for 20 years. And before that, dominant way of teaching was, for example, grammar translation method. In the grammar translation method, teaching the grammatical knowledge or some vocabulary is the center of the class, and the teacher students try to memorize it, and it's boring, isn't it? And then audio-lingual method came, and it's focused in a drill in a grammar. And students are viewed somehow, some kind of machine or like that, and it was again boring, wasn't it? And then CLT came, and in communicative language teaching, students are in the center, learners are in the center of the learning, and learning a language is not only knowing a knowledge, or it's not only to be able to use it, but gaining the communicative competence is the center of the learning. And the communication happens in the society. And so look at the classroom using the communicative language teaching. Students works really vividly and autonomously, and students are really in the center of the classroom. How fascinating, isn't it? And we all are really good, ambitious teachers, and we try to implement the CLT in our classrooms.
Great.
But as a result, it turned out to be really, really difficult in EFL settings. So that's why we chose this topic. And so then next, we're going into the history of the CLT.
Hi everyone, I'm going to continue the presentation with the history of how CLT has been developed. So first of all, CLT, or Communicative Language Teaching, was born out of the communicative approach, which was first being proposed in England in 1970s as a methodology of teaching English as a second language. So actually, communicative approach was a British invention, and the inception was due to the inefficiencies of grammar translation method and audiolingual method, also known as the structural approaches, because these two approaches could not develop the speaking abilities of foreign language learners based on memorizing language forms. So there was actually a need to replace these two approaches with an approach that could help foreign language learners to learn how to use language communicatively and effectively. And because of this reason too, communicative approach was regarded as revolutionary, that it had gained quite a rapid popularity in Europe, in English-speaking countries, and later in Western and in Asian countries. And because of its acceptance had spread it all over the world, including the countries where English is a second language and a foreign language, it has now been known as the Communicative Language Teaching to the field of ESL and EFL. And then, and for 30 years after its invention, it has become an essential impact on the creation of new approaches, theories and methods in English language teaching practice in both ESL and EFL contexts all around the world. So communicative approach actually rose from a combination of effort of British sociolinguists and anthropological linguists from British, and one of them was D. Himes in 1972, who viewed foreign language learning as first and foremost a system for meaningful communication and social interaction. So the new trend has actually encouraged more research on communicative language teaching by the language practitioners, applied linguists, and foreign language teachers, as they have targeted their research towards the purpose of how to teach the foreign language best by developing communicative competence so that the foreign language learning could be retainable and productive. So the final bullet point will be presented by my friend here, Adria.
Good morning again. Well, traditionally in the communicative approach, there are more than 20 guiding principles. Richard and Rogers consider, this is the model. Richards and Rogers considered 8 of these principles or changes and propose a model of interdependence. The circular nature of the figure emphasizes that all the changes are parts of a whole, and that the successful implementation of one is dependent on the successful implementation of others. As you can see, we have the 8 principles or changes called like changes by Rogers and Richards. And the number 1 is learner autonomy. And the second is social nature of learning. Third, curricular integration. Number 4 is focus on meaning. The 5 is diversity. The number 6 is thinking skills. The 7th is alternative assessment. And the 8th, the last they consider in this model, is teachers as co-learners. Then now I try to present some characteristics of those changes or principles. The first is learner autonomy. It refers to the responsibility that learners should feel for their learning and for the learning of those with whom they interact. It emphasizes the role of the learner rather than the role of the teacher. It does not refer only to learners being able to work alone. The second, social nature of learning. In this, students learn in interaction with the environment and also from peers, as well as by teaching those who know less than they do. This element is also known as cooperative or collaborative learning. It is related to the positive interdependence in which students feel support at the same time that they are motivated. And we can see how this holistic circle, this holistic model, takes the motivation again. It's not isolated. Number 3 is the curricular integration. It serves to have more opportunities to see the links between subject areas. By appreciating these links, students analyze situations in an holistic manner. The idea is that language competence is necessary for learning in all subject areas. Number 4 is focus on meaning. Language is a system for the expression of meaning. Meaning provides a purpose for learning and enables deeper thinking to take place. In second language, meaning should be understood in terms of the meaning of the individual words and whole text, as well as the meaning that particular topics and events are in students' lives. Number 5 is diversity, and diversity has at least 2 meanings. One meaning lies in the fact that different students attach different connotations to the same event or information. Another meaning refers to the mix of students we have in our classroom in terms of backgrounds, ethnic, religious, age, gender, etc. Taking advantage of this diversity can be challenging. Diversity, it is not an obstacle, but a strength. Learning styles and strategies represent a factor that can be employed as a useful tool in this case. Number 6 is thinking skills. Thinking skills are seen as the essential part of education because information is easily obtained, so the essential task is now to use that information wisely. Diversity comes into play as many valid rules may exist toward thinking about a particular situation or performing a particular task. It is related to learner autonomy, which is on the top as well, encouraging students to connect the language learning to they do in school with the world beyond. The number 7 is alternative assessment. New assessment instruments have been developed to complement or replace traditional instruments. The new assessment instruments attempt to mirror more closely real-life conditions and evolve thinking skills. The goal of alternative assessment is not assessing, and when I saw the word assessing, which means in Spanish or is similar to killing, I realized that the goal of alternative assessment is not killing, the goal is also to teach. An emphasis on meaning rather than form underlines many of the new assessment instruments. The social nature of learning, and we can see how this alternative assessment is related to the social nature of learning, has led to the inclusion of peer assessment and to the use of group tasks in assessments. In learner autonomy, once again, we can see how this term alternative assessment is related to learner autonomy in the web, not web, but the model they propose. Students are more involved, understanding how they will be assessed and even participating in that assessment. The last one is teachers as co-learners. This concept involves teachers learning along with students. Teaching and learning are social processes where students are active co-constructors of knowledge with their teachers. The teacher is more a facilitator and fellow learner alongside the students. Well, this is the 8 principles or changes considered by Richards and Rogers, and so then they presented their model. and how these changes or principles can be related. Thank you. Now it's Chihiro. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chihiro. I talk about research method for research.